Have you ever wondered about how animals are able to survive? How we all are able to survive? Do you ever think about where we would be without plants? How did animals evolve to take in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, the opposite of the actions performed in plants during photosynthesis? In order to understand this, we must first rewind to the beginning of time. When the Earth was created, about 4.5 billion years ago, it was simply a huge mass of molten rock. There was almost no atmosphere. Eventually, an atmosphere formed as Earth cooled, and that was when the first forms of life came up, bacteria and archaea. It is still uncertain how they popped up on the planet. Around 2.5 billion years ago, the Earth went through the Great Oxidation Event, which was the most significant climate change in the history of the Earth. This was caused by the accumulation of free oxygen in the oceans and the atmosphere, produced by cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are amongst Earth's oldest organisms and are still present today. They are aquatic and photosynthetic, which means that they reside in water and can manufacture their own food using the sun's energy. They go through the process of photosynthesis, in which they take in carbon dioxide and water to produce glucose and oxygen. Cyanobacteria are extremely important in the creation of eukaryotes. They produced oxygen and evolved into multicellular forms. The mitochondria of animal cells and the chloroplasts of algae and plants evolved from these endosymbiotic cyanobacteria. Around 2 billion years ago, cyanobacteria started living in the cells of eukaryotes, helping them make food in exchange for a home. They had a symbiotic relationship. One couldn't survive without the other. Eukaryotes evolved when one cell engulfed another and lived together and relied on each other. This is an example of endosymbiosis. The engulfed bacteria eventually became mitochondria, providing energy to the eukaryotic cells. Later, eukaryotic cells engulfed photosynthetic cyanobacteria and formed a symbiotic relationship with them. They evolved into chloroplasts, which gave plants their green color and let them use the energy from the sun to make food. Because of the large amounts of oxygen being released by these cyanobacteria, some of them even evolved to get energy using cellular respiration, which is pretty much the opposite of photosynthesis. In cellular respiration, you'd take in oxygen and glucose to release carbon dioxide and water. As time progressed, multicellular organisms became larger and more complex, and ended up being plants and animals. Animals carried out cellular respiration, while plants carried out photosynthesis. Cyanobacteria are the origin of these organisms, and they are the reason animals perform cellular respiration, the opposite of photosynthesis in plants.